don't see really many. You've got Steve Bannon. You've got a bunch of other people that are in prison that are Republicans. Don't really see any Democrats in prison right now. And so when you look at it, I say, like, the Democrats love to punish their enemies and while saving their friends. You know, they love to protect their friends and punish their enemies.
Wow, when you put it like that way, that's actually scary. I didn't even think about it that way. Tired of feeling like your voice is being drowned out on social media? It's time to experience the new Parler, where your voice is heard, your opinions matter, and your freedom to speak is respected. Parler is back and it's better than ever. Reimagined to give you the ultimate control over your content, no confusing algorithms, deciding what you see, no hidden agendas, just real, authentic conversations. Share your thoughts, connect with like-minded people, and be part of a community where your free speech truly thrives. At Parler, your privacy is always a priority. Your data belongs to you. We're here to empower users, not control them. Whether you're engaging in discussions, sharing news, or just staying connected, Parler is the platform where you are in charge. Ready to take back control? Download the Parler app today on iOS or Android and join the movement. It's your voice, your platform. Let it be heard. Go to the App Store or Google Play Store today. Download Parler now, where you have the power. All right, guys, Digital Social Hour out here in Nashville with Savannah here today. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm excited. So many like mutual friends and people have come on, so it's fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. I saw you spoke at the RNC this year too.
Yes, I did.
How was that? That must have been nerve-wracking, right?
It was amazing. I was actually supposed to be in the Cayman Islands.
Really?
Like that was my first trip without kids planned in almost 2 years. And so I was supposed to be in the Cayman Islands, like no work, no nothing. And then Trump's team called me up a few days before and was like, hey, we would love to have you come out and speak at the RNC. And I was like, that was one of those things. I was like, is this real life? Is this happening? And I immediately was like, of course I will. Like, who says no to the president? I definitely don't. And so I was like, of course, immediately like canceled all my trip and was like, all right, I'll be there.
Wow. Dana White did that too. He was in Italy when he got the call.
I love Dana White. And he was in Italy. He just jumped on a helicopter, private jet, got there, and then got back to his yacht. I was
Crazy.
like, what a life.
That's goals right there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I hope to get to that level someday.
Hey, don't we all?
So you canceled your whole trip, and
Yep.
did you have to write your own speech?
I did. So
Dang.
I wrote my whole, they gave me the option, like you can write your speech, you can give us bullet points, we can, whatever. And I was like, no, I want to write my speech. It was so important for me to write my speech because no one else can tell my story like I can tell my story.
Right.
And I just feel like you can tell when there's a speechwriter that wrote it, and then you can tell when someone truly wrote it from their heart. And so I wrote it, I turned it over to a speechwriter just because it had to meet certain criteria. And then they made very little edits. And then when I got there, the head of the speechwriting team was like, I just want to come and let you know, like, your speech was phenomenal. Everyone that worked with you said it was amazing. You were easy to work with. And I was like, oh my God, thank God. Because
Wow.
I always like to say, like, the first time you meet someone could be your last. So you want to make sure you leave the best impression possible. Obviously, we have bad days, but that's the motto I like to stick with.
I love it. They'll probably be inviting you back then.
I hope so. I hope to be. If Trump gets in, my goal is to hopefully help with some criminal justice reform. So
That's needed. People are in jail for weed right now.
very much so. Whenever you look at what's happening, like I said in my speech, right now we live in such a world to where regardless whether people want to believe it or not, how many Democrats are in prison right now? Don't see really many. You've got Steve Bannon. You've got a bunch of other people that are in prison that are Republicans. Don't really see any Democrats in prison right now. And so when you look at it, I say, like, the Democrats love to punish their enemies and while saving their friends. They love to protect their friends and punish their enemies.
Wow, when you put it like that way, that's actually scary. I didn't even think about it that way.
Well, I mean, look at what happened today. Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden was able to change a plea going into the courthouse to pick, when they were going in to pick jurors, he was able to change his plea, and not even to a guilty plea. It was a plea of saying that if it were to go to trial, he knows he would be found guilty, but he's not guilty. So I'm mind blown by it. Anyone that you speak.
Don't let allergies keep you up at night. Sambrosa Night Syrup is your more homeopathic solution for a restful night. Blending the sweetness of a honey base with 7 organic herbs and a small dose of antihistamine, Sambrosa provides effective relief from allergy symptoms while calming your body for a peaceful night's rest. It's over-the-counter, gentle, and made from the ingredients you trust. Wake up refreshed with Sambrosa Night Syrup. Visit Sambrosa.com today and rest easy tonight.
About that, they're mind blown because, let's face it, no one else has been allowed to do that. I think it's 5% of cases allow that.
Wow.
5%. And now you're telling me that Hunter Biden is allowed to do that? It doesn't make sense.
Meanwhile, Trump's getting indicted.
Trump's getting indicted, but hey, he gets indicted, poll numbers go up. So I say, let him keep indicting.
Yeah.
Because at this point, if they sentence him to prison come mid-September, he will win the election. He will win the election. And clearly, the Democrats have not learned yet that everything they do backfires. So you just saw what happened with Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg coming out saying, the Biden administration pressured us into censoring material on Hunter Biden and COVID. Like, at that point, what more do you need?
And that's just what he admitted to. I think it was more than that.
Yeah, it was way more than that. But back, years ago when we were all saying, oh, they're censoring stuff, we were the extremists and, we were the crazy ones.
100%. I wonder what percentage of judges are Democrat.
I would say Trump did a great job at stacking the Supreme Court. So when he was in office, he stacked the Supreme Court, which is what matters ultimately.
Yeah.
But when it comes to federal judges, the issue is they have that seat for life.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I want to say it's maybe once or twice has a federal judge ever been removed from their seat. So they have that seat for life. And when you have federal judges who have so much power and who don't have term limits and who have that seat for life, you have to wonder, all right, this gets dangerous at some point, especially politically. I know that just within my family, our judge was the youngest African-American woman appointed by Obama.
Oh, wow.
Prosecutors referred to us as the Trumps of the South in Fulton County, Georgia. Clearly that I knew we were screwed from the beginning. So when you look at the political affiliations and how these judges have donated to campaigns, like the judge that's over Trump right now in New York, he donated to a Biden campaign, a Democrats campaign, whatever it was. His daughter is the head of some organization that raises money for the Democrats. So
Wow.
you start to look at it and you're like, okay, this gets messy.
Yeah, if you're that affiliated with a certain side, you shouldn't be allowed to judge a case when the opposition is the complete opposite
Not
side.
at all.
Because you're going to be personally biased.
Yeah, not at all. But then when you look at it from the other way, you're going to be personally biased if it's a Republican judge persecuting a Republican.
That's true, too. Yeah, it
so
goes
it's one
both
of those
ways.
things that it's like, it's one of those tough lines that we just don't know how to navigate yet.
Have you always been pretty political?
Never.
Really?
Never. I, obviously being on reality television, all of our crew was from LA, production company from LA. I'll never forget at the very beginning when our show started, they had us do like this media training and you don't talk about politics, you don't talk about this, that, whatever. And you make, obviously, all these advertisers. I mean, I was literally just told, don't get too political because advertisers just told us they won't touch conservative.
Wow.
I was just told this probably a month ago.
And you're still talking about it?
Yeah, because at this point, I can't sell my soul. Like, I did that for 10 years and never got political one time while everyone else around me was allowed to wear T-shirts. Crew members were allowed to wear T-shirts that I found to be insulting, that they voiced their opinions from the rooftops. I mean, even to the point of coming in our home and asking us to turn off Fox News.
Whoa.
And I'm like, my dad was like, this is my home. I'm not turning off Fox News. Like, if you don't want to listen to it, go outside.
Yeah.
Like, it's that simple. And so we had to live a life like that for 10 years. And now, especially, I grew up in the South. Like, you live, breathe, die our country. Greatest nation on earth. Mm-hmm. But it's not until you see your name versus the United States of America that you're like, whoa, maybe this isn't all that it's cracked up to be. Like, maybe there's something more to this. And when you start looking into it and educating yourselves on how these prosecutions actually happen, you realize how messed up the system truly is. And then once I started uncovering these things and educating myself, I knew that at that point, I knew too much. And when you know better, you do better.
It's so crazy because growing up, I thought, if you were in prison, you were there.
You're a bad person.
You're a bad person.
Yeah. But now research shows that 1 in 20 criminal cases result in a wrongful conviction.
Whoa.
I would argue that it's more than that. But 1 in 20 criminal cases, you look at even these men that are on death row, and there's a movie on Netflix. It's Trial by Fire. It's based on a true story to where a guy gets executed. And it goes behind the scenes to show how there was so much cover up because they knew he was innocent.
Whoa.
But they didn't want to admit that they were wrong. And finally, people came forward, but they executed the man.
And that's probably happened numerous times.
Yeah. And so you look, and that's why my viewpoints have changed when it comes to execution and things of that nature, because if you can't even get a murder right, if you can't even get a tax fraud case right, like, what makes you think you can get a murder right? And I'm not saying that it's not, I believe in law and order without a doubt, but people have different motives, and these prosecutors, these judges, they don't ever want to be wrong. They don't want to admit to wrongdoing. And so you have to take a step back and give it true time and go through the due process to make sure this is exactly what we say it is. Right. Because the fact that we are now killing people who were innocent in the United States of America is an issue.
Yeah.
Like, without a doubt. So it's a tough thing for me. And now when you look in our prison system, I say that when I went and visited my dad for the first time, I never felt the presence of Jesus more than I did in that visitation room.
Really?
Like, that I literally had goosebumps when I was in there because I was so afraid of what it was going to be. And you really just see so many broken individuals who never had a chance.
Wow.
And the issue with our system is we don't take a second to learn someone's story and to figure out what got them there, what got them to the point that they were at, to selling drugs or whatever it may be. And when you take a second, there's a 19, 20-year-old kid in there who, guess what? He started selling drugs at the age of 10 but at the age of 7, he was injecting his parents with because they were too high to do it, but forced him to do it. Like, you hear these stories and you're like, all right, how do we help them? Like, yes, there should be some punishment for the crime that you committed, but when is enough enough? When do you serve your time? And then when do we help rehabilitate you? When do we invest in you? Because whether people want to believe it or not, they're going to be your neighbors. They're going to get out of prison one day. So don't you want them to be a contributing member to society instead of being thrown back into society even more broken than when they went to prison?
Right. And then a lot of them go back to prison because they can't even function.
Well, exactly. Because we don't, and that's the thing is, in the state of Tennessee, you can't even be a hairdresser if you are a convicted felon.
Really?
You cannot even be a hairdresser.
Wow.
And so when you look at it that way, it's like, all right, well, we make it almost impossible for these men and women to get housing, to get jobs, to really do anything. So they're going to go back to what they knew, whether that was selling drugs, whatever it may have been, because that's the only way they can survive.
Yeah.
And so it's so many other countries, when you serve your sentence, your record's expunged. Now, law enforcement can see it, obviously, but an employer can't see it or anyone else. So my thing is, as long as it is not a violent crime, you serve your time, that should be it.
Yeah.
It shouldn't follow you for the rest of your life.
Wow. So right now, if you go to prison and you want to get a job, it's there?
Yep.
That's crazy.
And certain housing you can't get. Opening up bank accounts, you name it.
Wow.
Loans, whatever it may be, is almost impossible.
So it's debilitating.
Yeah.
Damn. And you could get put in prison for anything. If
anything.
If they want you to go to prison.
It's a felony to not return a library book.
Really? I've done that.
Yeah.
That's a felony?
Exactly. It's a felony to not return a library
book. It's like $20.
book. To ship an orchid without proper paperwork. To ship lobster in a plastic bag.
Really?
Like, and that's the issue, is that there are so many laws that we don't know because we don't vote for him anymore. And what I loved under the Trump administration was he had a rule that, all right, we sign a law in, we take a law away. Like, there has to be some sort of just, you have to look at it instead of saying like, all right, all these things are going to be laws. We have to take something away because the more laws there are, the less we know. I mean, they say the average person commits 3 felonies a day.
Damn.
Like, that's like one of the stats. And so when you look at it, it's like, hey, we don't even know if what we're doing is against the law.
That's so crazy. And there's no place to just look up the laws easily. Like,
no, there was an organization that ran out of funding before they could figure out how many laws there were. But it was over.
Crap.
Yeah. Like, and they worked for years
Damn.
and ran out of funding, and they still couldn't get to the end of it.
Do you think more power should go towards the state and counties and cities over the federal?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think that's what Trump is doing. So he will do so great at is taking away. First off, don't we just want to live our life? Do we want the government telling us every single thing we can and cannot do? No, we don't. And at the end of the day, it should go back to the states so that the states can make those decisions. We vote on them. We can go to town hall meetings. We can vote for our city council. We can vote for our governor. So technically, the people are voting on it. And we're voting on what those people's policies are. So if it goes back to the states, if your state has all these laws you don't like, well, there's 50 other states for you to go to.
Right. You got options.
Yeah, you got options.
Because these federal agencies have been weaponized.
They have, without a doubt. The Department of Justice is, I like to say, the Department of Injustice. And when you look at it, they all need to be deconstructed. The IRS, the DOJ. I mean, you look at it, the IRS and all these thousands of agents they've hired. And the fact that these agents are now allowed to have guns. Why does the Internal Revenue Service agents need guns? Like, why do they? I don't know.
Couldn't tell you. And they just hired a bunch of them, right? 87,000.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nuts.
And what's that for? To monitor your Venmos? But yet we've got Hunter Biden spending $630,000 on women and $150,000 on adult entertainment and not paying his taxes and not filing his taxes, but yet he gets to enter into a plea deal. You know, like it's crazy. And the whistleblowers that came out about that literally ruined their careers because they wanted to hold him accountable.
Crazy.
So that shows you how we have weaponized it and how, just like Trump again, getting indicted. Like, when is enough enough?
I just had Tulsi Gabbard on the show.
Okay.
First time she came on, she had to reschedule because that day she got put on a watch list. So she couldn't even fly to Vegas, the Blue Skies watch list.
Yep.
Second time had her on.
That whole thing was absolutely insane.
So I did the episode anyways because I thought her message was important. Post the clips, my TikTok gets banned. I'm like, holy crap, they're really censoring everything.
Well, TikTok, it's so funny because I just had a conversation with someone about it. TikTok is very pro-Kamala right now.
I've noticed that.
Very pro-Kamala, and trying to change that narrative is pretty difficult. X has done an amazing job at holding people accountable, putting the truth out there. But of course, now that X is doing that, you have Kamala stating that X should have more government oversight.
Yeah.
Well, why? Because they're saying something you don't like? Because it's not pro-you? That's where I have an issue, is that at the end of the day, we have the right to free speech. Whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, you should be able to voice how you feel. You shouldn't be censored for one or the other.
Absolutely. And scary times right now with this Telegram founder getting arrested.
I have friends who have said to me, like, we're really concerned, like, be careful about the things that you say, because I've done a lot of exposing of the federal prison system, putting documents out here, putting recordings out there, And they're like, you need to be careful. Like, we really are concerned for you. And I'm like, well, you know what? It is what it's going to be. Like I said, I know too much, and I'm willing to put it out there because it could save millions of people's lives. So I watch my back. I've had U.S. senators tell me, like, you need to change your phone.
What?
Like, every few weeks. Like, not even, like, change your whole phone out.
What?
Because of
Monitoring?
how they monitor it.
Holy crap. But even if you change your number, they'll just find the new one.
Yeah. But they've said, like, literally, but not even number, like the whole device.
Oh, so they could track the actual device.
Yeah. They said, I had a U.S. senator tell me every 4 weeks.
Holy crap.
Get a new phone.
Yeah. Someone came on the show and was telling me about this. Even if your phone's off, Tim Kennedy, even if your phone's off, they could still listen to you.
Yeah. It's scary.
Super scary. I mean, who knows what they're recording, and then they know where you are.
They know where you are, what you're doing, and that, like, under the Biden-Harris administration, that's what they want. They want to control you. They want to control your every move. They want to control how you think, how you eat, what you buy. I mean, every little thing. And I just want to be free. Like, I want to make my own decisions. I want to suffer the consequences of my actions. I just want to live in a free country. And the more I say, if Trump does not get reelected, we all should be so afraid at where we're headed.
Very. Have you lost TV roles because of this?
I have lost, I've lost some followers on Instagram, which I'm like, great, we'll weed you out, save room for more. I've definitely lost followers. I've lost some endorsement deals, stuff like that. But like I said, I can't sell my soul. That is the point that I've gotten at. And frankly, I've been canceled once before. Like, how much worse can it get?
Yeah.
You know? And at that point, I felt like a hypocrite because I'm like, well, I hate all these things, but I'm not speaking out about it because I allowed money to get in the way of me and my convictions. Yeah. And now I just can't do it.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. How do you think these Democrats are getting these huge celebrities to back them? Because I just saw Steph Curry made a video, and that's
Isn't Steph Curry always, though, like,
yeah.
What I love is it is these celebrities that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars who come out and they back Kamala, they back Joe Biden, they do all these things, but yet they're the same ones living behind gates. They're the same ones with bodyguards. They're the same ones that have police officers monitoring their properties. But yet they don't believe in the wall. They don't believe in police officers in schools. They don't, but yet you have them following you around. So what is it? Is it the hypocrisy of it is what I absolutely despise. And when you ask these people, what policies do you agree with? What do you stand for? Rarely do I ever have anyone that says that can tell me a policy. It's either the fact that she is a woman or that she is a black woman that is going to be the first president. There is never a policy that anyone can stand behind because, frankly, she doesn't even know her policies.
She hasn't even released them, right?
No, but she doesn't even know them. She adopted Trump's no tax on tips. She's now saying she agrees with the border wall. So what is it that she wants other than giving illegals that cross the border our taxpayers' dollars?
She wants 25% of our passive income.
Yeah. It's absolutely insane.
It's nuts. It just blows my mind. Like, you wonder, like, how, they must be paying them somehow. Like, that doesn't even make sense.
Well, there was during the DNC, they were paying people to come.
Oh, to attend?
To attend.
Wow.
They were paying people to attend. I wish I could find it off the top of my phone right now. It was a memo that went out to where they were paying people to attend and to post. And then apparently there was a new article that came out about them actually busing people in to attend the DNC. And who knows? What are they offering these celebrities?
It's got to be money.
It's got to be money. It's got to be something because let's face it, they have illegally used campaign funds that were meant for Biden. So where's all the money going? What are they doing? What are they promising? Or is it just the fact that these celebrities hate Donald Trump so much that they will endorse anyone but him?
Mark Cuban does, for sure.
Oh, Mark Cuban most certainly does. And that's my thing. It's like, do you hate him or do you hate his policies?
Mark Cuban hates Donald Trump.
Yeah. So what is your hatred for him worth losing your freedom? Because if he doesn't get back in, we're all losing our freedom. And it's going to affect our checkbooks. It's going to affect our life.
It already is affecting this stuff right now.
I mean, electricity is 33% more. You've got groceries that are, 25% more.
Feels like more than that.
I would say it's more than that. But it's so crazy that, like, most people are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
I did a poll on my Instagram, and it was like 85% of the people said they're living paycheck to paycheck.
Crap.
85%.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so it's crazy because you start to see all these big corporations. I just released a thing on John Deere. There's a guy named Robbie Starbuck. He was running for Senate here in Tennessee. And he is now going and looking at, like, all these big corporations between John Deere, Harley Davidson, Coors Light, and looking at all of their policies and how woke their policies are and the things that they donate their money to. And all these DEI programs and just, you look at it, and John Deere, they're moving their production out of the U.S. to Mexico. They are giving money to all these different, like, drag shows and that are for kids and just things like John Deere should not be doing. Like, let's focus on tractors. And Robbie Starbuck started releasing this information. I came out about it and started talking about how messed up it was. And then literally the next day, a friend of mine who's an influencer posted about John Deere and how great John Deere is and how they're just the epitome of the American dream and how she loves that her kids love tractors and go to John Deere, blah, 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 like sent them to this ex, whatever. And I responded to her. I said, please don't tell me they paid you for this. And she goes, yeah, it was the easiest money I've ever made.
Ooh.
I was like, do you know why they paid you for that? And I sent her to Robbie's ex. Yeah. And then I sent her to the video that I did. And she was like, oh my God. She was like, that's why they said, like, make sure you say it's the American dream. Make sure they told her the things to hit on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is disgusting. Now they're paying you to endorse them for something they don't even believe in. How is it the American dream when you're moving all your production to Mexico?
Crazy.
It's not. So it's these companies will pay influencers to make you believe something that's total opposite of what they actually stand for.
Yeah. Just happened to Tim Pool yesterday. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah. So they just found out this Russian organization funded their podcast $10 million.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's all over Twitter.
Oh my God.
So these guys are taking money from all these companies and they're just happy about the money, but that they don't realize.
They don't really realize where it's coming from.
Yeah, and they're pushing certain agendas.
Oh my God.
Scary.
It is.
Because we get offered money all the time.
Yeah.
And we have to actually do due diligence and see if
we align.
align.
And if it's something I don't agree with, I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, no, thank you.
It's so nuts. And the DEI stuff is crazy. Like, just speaking out against it, people call you racist.
Well, and that's the thing. When it comes to the whole racist remarks, I literally cannot stand it because people say, when I came out about Donald Trump, and I came out the day that he was indicted. Mm-hmm. And it was like a whole video of photos of all the times that I had been with him and his team. And my caption was, today weighs heavy on my heart as we witness the verdict regarding President Donald J. Trump. This was when he was found guilty. It is undeniably a somber day, not only for his supporters, but for anyone who believes in the principles of fairness and justice. Regardless of one's political affiliation, the conviction of a former president is a moment that underscores the gravity of our legal system. However, alongside my sadness, there's also a profound sense of concern regarding the perceived abuse of power within the Department of Justice. The integrity of our institutions must be upheld, and the impartiality of justice must never be compromised for political gain. It's imperative that we hold accountable those who betray the public trust, but equally important is ensuring that justice is administered fairly and without bias. In the wake of today's events, let us not lose sight of the values that underpin our democracy, transparency, accountability, and the rule of law. It's my sincere hope that we can come together as a nation to address the challenges before us, reaffirming our commitment to upholding the principles upon which our country was founded. I pray that God has his hand on our country. Please vote this November. And remember, regardless of political beliefs, we can still love and respect one another. That went viral. I mean, millions and millions and millions of views. And the amount of people that commented calling me a terrible human being, how they wish I would die, how my little sister who is biracial shouldn't be in my custody because I am just abusive for supporting Donald Trump.
Crazy.
I was appalled. First off, I love people based off of who they are. I don't love you based off of your skin color, your gender, your sexual orientation. Like, I love you for you. So some of my best friends are gay. Some of my best friends are black. Like, I love you for you. And so for people to say just because you support a political party, you're racist, I think it's the most ignorant thing in the world. Under Trump's administration, he offered, what was it? There were cabinet members of color. Look at what he did with Alice Marie Johnson.
Yeah, Ben Carson.
Alice Marie Johnson just came on my podcast. I haven't released the episode yet. But she came on my podcast and we were talking about her story. And she has been on Air Force One more times than you can count. Trump, hopefully, like I said, come November, he is elected. January, back in office. Alice will help take up criminal justice stuff as well. But she was talking about how when Obama, back in 2014, Obama was doing this thing of all these different clemencies. And, you had to have served 10 years of your sentence and great behavior, X, Y, and Z. She was a model inmate. Like, she was speaking to Ivy League schools while in prison. Like, it was insane.
Wow.
And everyone, even like guards at the prison, were like, Alice, you're going home. You're going home. Like, you're going to qualify. And she submitted all of her stuff. Never heard back.
Wow.
And she said, I remember watching him step up on the stairs, getting into the Air Force One for the very last time, waving goodbye. And I've never felt more forgotten. And she said, then Trump gets in office and everyone said, Alice, he's not going to do anything for you. He's not going to do anything. He doesn't care about us people. And Alice goes, I just knew they weren't right. I knew my time was coming. I just had to keep working. And that's when Kim Kardashian got involved. And Alice ended up meeting with President Trump. President Trump granted her clemency after serving 19 years in prison. I think it was something crazy.
So she was in there for life?
Yeah, she was in there for life plus 50.
Holy
life
crap.
Plus 25 or 50. But yeah, and this was all off of a conspiracy charge.
What?
They never had drugs on her. They never found drugs on her. They never pinned any drugs towards her. She got involved, and I forgot what they call it, but basically she was like a cover for someone dealing drugs, and her phone number was on the guy's phone when they confiscated it.
And that's the thing. If you don't have millions to represent yourself on a federal case, you're screwed.
But even in our case, we spent $6 million.
Holy crap.
And we were still screwed.
Do you think it got the sentence reduced at least spending that much?
No.
Not at all?
We got more.
Oh,
My
really?
dad got 12 years.
Wow.
For what they allege is $17 million in fraud.
And what's the typical time frame people get?
I mean, you've got Elizabeth Holmes with Theranos. Did you follow that whole thing?
No.
So Theranos, it's watch it on Netflix. You will be mind blown. She had come up with this whole medical device, and like people ended up truly getting harmed, but she defrauded people out of, I want to say $1 billion, something crazy, hundreds of millions, if not $1 billion. And she got 11 years.
And she was Democrat.
I would assume so. Yeah, I would assume so. And she got 11 years.
Wow.
My dad got 12 years for what they allege is 17 million.
They wanted to make an example, probably.
They wanted to make an example. You look and you have the IRS, the, DOJ, Georgia Department of Revenue, all these people come out, FBI for a press conference.
FBI?
Yeah, for a press conference after my parents were found guilty. And they said, if these reality TV people aren't above the law, then neither are you. And I'm like, all right, you made your point. You did what you wanted to do. But meanwhile, the agent at the Georgia Department of Revenue, so in the meantime, we had sued the Georgia Department of Revenue for their illegal misconduct in our case. We ended up winning $1 million because I just settled. I was like, at this point, I've got 2 kids. My parents are in prison. I need to fight to get them home. We settled for $1 million. But if you're not guilty, you're not going to settle with someone for $1 million.
Right.
And so the Office of Inspector General did a full report and ruled in our favor on about 85% of our claims.
Holy crap.
There was a dartboard of my dad's face in this guy's office.
No way.
There was, a dartboard of his face.
What?
And then I've got recordings that my dad actually started posting on his Instagram while we were fighting this whole thing, to where you've got the commissioner and you've got all these people in the state of Georgia who are in their own voices, because there was 2 women within the Georgia Department of Revenue that were recording all conversations. You've got the commissioner stating, wipe all government devices clean of anything that has to do with the Chrisley case. Like, what we're about to do is illegal, but do it. So you've got federal officials that do these things, and I've got all the recordings that are in. You can't run from your own voice.
Right.
And that's why it's like, I've reached out to the Trump team and I'm like, hey guys, I've got hundreds of hours of recordings that will go to exactly what you're saying is happening in Fulton County.
That's so messed up. I wonder who gave the orders to target you guys like that. That's crazy.
I would be interested to know. It's definitely a backdoor.
Yeah,
deal.
That's some deep state stuff right there.
It is, without a doubt.
Wow.
And the moment you start exposing the government, they come after you.
Yeah. Was that when your family really endorsed Trump and stuff too?
No, we didn't truly endorse Trump until this past election.
Oh, so I wonder why they targeted you guys then.
I would say I think you knew, obviously, in the state of Georgia, that everyone knew kind of where we stood. There were things that we would say, but we never truly came out about it.
No.
What had happened was we had come out against the governor, and then we started posting all these recordings when we were in litigation with the state. And that pissed off a lot of people.
They hated that.
Yeah, that pissed off a lot of people. When you start pissing off politicians, it's a done deal.
Yeah, they'll use their authority. That's the innate problem with humans, right?
Yeah.
When they give power, some people abuse it.
Exactly.
So it's tough.
Yeah.
Damn, Savannah, it's been a really important episode. Anything else you want to?
We could go on for days. There's so much. I just think the importance, too, of people actually going out and voting this election. You can't pay attention to the polls. It's like Trump said, if they see that, he's 15% behind or 5%, whatever it may be, like, people are just going to be like, oh, well, there's no sense in me voting. He's not going to win anyway.
Right.
But the polls lie. That's the issue. The polls lie. So you've got to go out and vote at this election. Your vote does matter. Yes, you only have one vote, but it matters. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what people need to remember.
It's the first time I'll be voting, guys. So yeah, definitely get out there.
Really?
Yeah, I never cared until this election.
Holy
this just seems
cow.
so pivotal for some reason.
It does. It's like life or death.
It seems that way with this one.
It is life or death.
Like, I've never felt this passionate about politics.
And I think, too, when you actually look into it and you just see kind of what's at stake, you're like, holy like, I don't know about y'all, but like, I want to keep my money. I don't want to give it to all these illegals. I I mean, you look at over 10 million people have crossed the border.
At least.
At least. And you look at all the lives lost due to those people. The women who have been raped and murdered, and just the harsh just things that have happened. And it's like, I'm sorry, but this is not our country. But yet they're taxing us out the ass. They're wanting to up taxes even more if she gets in. And I'm sorry, but I believe you work for what you have. And if you don't want to get out here and work, you shouldn't be incentivized. It's that simple.
Look at all the jobs they're taking. When I go to Home Depot now, there's literally 100 people on the street right next to it.
Literally.
Isn't that crazy?
It's absolutely insane.
Like, it's nuts.
I just think, I don't know, we're in for a world of hurt if Trump does not get back in. And I hope and pray that people in our generation, these young people, will stop falling into the woke ideology and actually look at, guess what? You may think Trump's an ass. You may not like how he says something. But does that matter? No. What matters? The policies matter. What you believe in. And it's like the whole one thing that I hate about the media is anytime he says something good, they don't want to report on it. So the latest that he's come out with is that if he were to get back in office, he will mandate that either the government or insurance carriers must cover the cost of IVF for families. That's not everywhere. That's not all in the media. But guess what? Don't people want that? Like, I know chances are I'm going to have to go through IVF. But that's not something I asked for. That's not something I chose. So, yeah, I would love for insurance to cover it. But instead, we're giving out free health care to all these illegals, but yet I can't get something and covered, and I'm a tax-paying citizen?
Yeah.
So it's like, pay attention to what he stands for. The low taxes, the having less government in your everyday life, pro-life. I mean, just pay attention. Pay attention to the policies.
Yeah, look beyond the person.
Look beyond the person. I can say, anytime I've been around him, he's as nice as can be. I've watched him interact with wounded veterans. I've watched him. I was at Mar-a-Lago. There was a wounded vet in front of me, and he was sobbing, and Secret Service stepped in, obviously doing their job because they have to just make sure, monitor the situation. And Trump said, no. He said, this guy is stronger than any of us here. And sat there and took the time to get to know this guy and his story.
Wow.
So that's the person that I've come in contact with. That's the person that I've encountered. And I encountered a situation he didn't even know that I was watching. And so you know who people are when no one else is watching.
Absolutely.
You know, like that's who a person is. So you may think he's an ass. He may call people some names. Don't we all? I mean, let's face it. We all have locker room talk. We've all said things. We've all said things. And if it got out, we would be mortified. So just think, like, he's not a career politician.
Absolutely. Savannah, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching, guys, as always. See you next time.